First the 48 oysters, then the Cheesecake Factory. Now y'all coming at Keith Lee. I don't know how y'all got to be so critical of dine-out food and restaurant places when y'all grew up on free lunch. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. Keith Lee got y'all down in shambles down there in Atlanta. Oh well. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I'm back. I was this close to minding my African American business. This close to minding my African American business. Until I went down on the Bird app today and see that y'all are lighting yourselves on fire over Keith Lee. And it's funny to me, right? Before I get started into why it's funny, Keith Lee is the latest social media phenom, right? He's been traveling all over the country for the most part, like hitting major cities and giving some reviews, going to restaurants and such, some celebrity, other regular joints. I think he's been to Chicago, he's been to Atlanta, so on and so forth. Gets the food or, goes into the restaurant, tries to get a table, whatever, or he'll send family to go in and do whatever, and then just gives like a regular review. Oh, customer service was this. This is the response we got when my family went in. This is the response I got when I went in. The experience was different. The food was okay, whatever. Here is where I'm like, okay, this is funny to me. This is why I'm loving this. This whole experience, I guess, controversy, hot takes, bullshit opinions, the pushback on Keith Lee is funny to me because this is one of those moments we here at the I Refuse podcast like celebrate. Oh, well, clearly the pandemic has not shown y'all, how discernment and critical thinking is very important. This man is going around in his car doing the same stuff that we're doing, right? We got money on the side. We go out to these places we've heard about. And, whether it's local or we go out of town and go someplace, regular spots, go in. He has a similar experience that we always have, and we go to Yelp. This man just happens to do the same thing that we're doing, but on TikTok. And it's got y'all in a tizzy because y'all have went to social media, you keyboard thugs, wanting to know what credentials does Keith Lee have. Now, I said earlier, Keith Lee is a social media phenom, just, the latest main character. That's what we give. But he's not demonstrative. He's not malicious about it. This isn't somebody that had like a regular 9-to-5 job and decided to file for a false PPP loan. This is a person that is using his platform to inform the rest of us. This is what it is. A lot of people out here are like, oh, well, he's bringing down black business and he's got some nerve. Social media is not about credentials. It's about influence. And a lot of people out here are adding more to the equation in a negative way. Some are pretty facetious and silly about it. I don't think Keith Lee is using his social media, his TikTok account, to pave the way to like a major culinary show. And quiet as it's kept, a lot of the reality TV shows, culinary cooking shows included, or competition shows, are more about personality and drama anyway than paving the way for, Jeremy from Wisconsin to be in London next year under Chef Ramsay. A lot of the people that go on these competition shows like Idol and Top Chef and Next Top Fashion, whatever, they usually go into being more of a personality. The exception is Christian Siriano. But you're not going to get all culinary greats. Most of the people on the panel in some of these cooking shows are personality based. Just like, the Queer Eye guys are more of a personality with a team of folks behind them doing the real work. Sorry to burst your bubble. But on top, to prove my point a little bit further, a lot of us are glamorizing what we see on TV. Like, we're idolizing people, we think, we get so wrapped up into the magic of what we see on TV and the idea of the celebrity restaurant. While it is funny, I saw one of his recent videos critiquing the OLG restaurant. Now, I know there's two different ones. So he goes to the OLG restaurant, and I believe he sends his family in first. And he in his TikTok videos, he's in the driver's seat of his car, giving the context and also giving voiceovers while he's showing us like real in the moment situations that he's taped. He goes to the OLG restaurant. In the video, it's after the fact, but he's recalling it. So he's like, we went to OLG restaurant. As you can see, we didn't leave with any bags. I sent my family in first. My mother-in-law, a couple of, my family, they're told it'll be at least a 2-hour wait. They come back to the car. He goes in, and they're ready to see him in like 5 minutes. But he already knows the deal. He's like, no, I'm good. It is what it is. The thing about that, I think more people are showing themselves and telling on themselves when they push back on him moving around in Atlanta. Like, we can tell that you're from Atlanta when you go to Twitter and you push back and you want to know his credentials and stuff. And the thing about it is, what he said in the TikTok video is the least damaging stuff I've heard as far as feedback from OLG. Not the best food. It's not all that it's cracked up to be, but it's like those of us that have been going to restaurants, regular joints, the same stuff that you experience at like an OLG or a celebrity restaurant is 9 times out of 10 no different than what you experience at like a Fridays or an Applebee's. Y'all just think because these people are celebrities that they're equitable to culinary greats. On the flip side of that, people that go into restaurant business, with an idea such as OLG, aren't necessarily, don't have a culinary background to, I guess, equate to the levels of like a Bobby Flay or a Chef Ramsay. But that's also, a lot of us can be pretty particular when it comes to soul food anyway. I'm not a big fan of like the Georgia Peach chain that's up this way. I'm more of a Southern blues kind of guy. But I also know that people have different approaches to their cooking. It all just comes down to who you get as a chef, who you get on the line to do your food. And a lot of that goes into experience and what what is your food looking like that you have us tasting before we take you on or we have you. It's not that hard. Um, but he didn't even get to the food. Like he said, he didn't have any bags. Yet y'all are throwing yourselves on the sword like Atlanta is some kind of world class mecca for folks. Atlanta, as far as the food, not that big of a deal. But there are a lot of not that big of a deal places in Chicago, New York, even Baltimore, Raleigh, Richmond, maybe out the West Coast. It just comes down to the people that are cooking the food. So I'm not tripping, but it was funny to me that y'all go up real hard against Keith Lee, and it's like he's not doing anything terribly special, and he's not saying anything all that damaging. Like, I don't think one person is going to stop, black business in the South. Y'all need to stay off of social media for a bit, go touch some grass, and just leave it the way that it is. And it's like, you know what? Now that I think about it, y'all are giving, where was all this, all this heat and all this energy that you're giving Keith Lee? Y'all are not having that same energy for, like, the crooks, the phony chefs of the world, of the restaurants like Milk and Honey, allegedly with this long list of rules for their patrons. Y'all are not. Where's all this energy for, these mobile chefs or the chefs that are cooking in their houses, charging like New York City restaurant or Rodeo Drive restaurant prices? Like, you gotta be equal with your disdain. Like, I'm not gonna pay $45-$50 for a three-course meal that clearly was made with the microwave. But y'all go to Instagram 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, ready to give these people sight unseen all this money to have food that they have in their stories shipped to your house, or you go to pick up and it looks nothing like the picture. But you have somebody like Keith Lee, and there's like another guy, I think that's traveling as well, who does similar stuff. But he tries out the food and then he critiques it. Not that much different than what we're doing. Like, y'all go to Red Lobster, y'all go to Olive Garden, swear up and down, no, the food should be a certain way when all that food is mass produced and mass cooked and shipped out to the booths that y'all sit at. That's why the turnaround in a restaurant like that or a chain restaurant is not that long. Anyway, this man is not doing anything more than a video production of a Yelp review. And he's talking about shit that y'all argue about all the time. 2 hour wait time. The customer service isn't that good. At this point, just have this understanding that if you go into a place and they have the fake turf grass behind the podium, or there's some of the walls, like two adjacent walls with turf grass and all this fancy neon lighting that you can buy from Etsy, and they put so much money more into the decor, yeah, the food's probably going to be mid. But you ain't hear that from me. Uh, I mean, it's. I'll go out on a limb and say this. It's very clear that the scale is a little obtuse at this point. Like, you have people that are so pro black business and so pro this and so pro that, that they won't even face the facts that not every black person can cook, and not every black business person um, knows what they're doing. Like, every person that wants to be a boss and say that they have multiple restaurants and multiple black owned restaurants, and they keep their all their staff is black and the pavement's black and the booth is black, it's black on black everywhere. That doesn't that's not mutually exclusive to great food. And if you took a couple business classes and you took a couple of organizational professional business capstone classes like I did, you could see the two are not mutually exclusive. Um, and you will come to the reality that there are some business owners that are in it for the money and this idea of building generational wealth. And there are those that have somewhat of a background in good good food, um, and making sure it's of good quality. Now, I can't speak for OLG. I don't know if they had a dry run before they decided to open and all that other stuff. But I'm willing to go on the limb, and Mama Joyce don't attack me, to say that it was more about having it connected to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and everybody was drawn to just that part, and that's why they drove from everywhere to OLG in Atlanta, than actually cultivating and going about it like you see on these other reality shows. Like, anybody can have a business, but as you can clearly see on like Kitchen Nightmares, there's more that goes into it than saying, "Oh, I'm a boss." Just saying. Um, Not that hard. Y'all coming at Keith Lee when y'all really need that Tabitha lady to come down, do a reality run, do a season of that show down in Atlanta. Um, Before y'all like start attacking other people. Not because just because something is $35, $40, and just because it looks familiar to you doesn't automatically equal that it's good. And it's not anything on Keith Lee. Like, Keith Lee is doing the same shit y'all been doing for years. He's just doing it in front of a camera and building an audience off of it. While y'all still continue to go to Pizza Hut and Little Caesars and Applebee's and BJ's and all these other places and throw a tantrum on the floor for an order that you half ate, that you want comped, or you ate the entire plate, call the lady or the person over, start recording, and try to get us on your side. Just saying. Uh, clearly, 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 this pandemic isn't doing anybody any good. Keith Lee, keep doing what you're doing, brother. He possibly could pave if he wanted to. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up on one of those competition culinary shows, because the brother has like 10 or 15 quotables per minute. I'm still gagging at him saying Well, as you can see, we didn't leave with any bags. And quite as it's kept, having a personality on a reality show is what draws numbers. And that's, like I said earlier, most of the people on those shows are not of the particular industry or not part of the particular industry that they're, I guess, judging on. A lot of these people are personalities or celebrities. Like, nobody is even looking to Heidi Klum to talk about a dress like that. She's like the host or whatever. Some of these people are connected to political people of power, of influence. Again, it's all about social media, and reality TV shows are about influence, which is about the power of persuasion, and not about credentials. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. Please go out and touch a blade of grass. Rest in peace to the put him in a coffin guy, the who had like the vines from back in the day where he would go into public places and say put him in a coffin and then just like jump and fall backwards on some produce, jump and fall backwards on some shit in Walmart. Nobody's talking about that. That's pretty curious. Rest in peace to Matthew Perry. Like I said on the Usual Suspects podcast episode that came out today, I have a theory as to what the cause of death is. Get into that. The link will be in the bio. And we will see you guys next time. Peace out. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse.